Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to today's stick mobility class. I am Coach Ray. Thank you for joining me for today. So, for today's class, we are going to need 2 long sticks, okay? I do have a squat rack behind me because we are going to be driving up into the squat rack. We're going to get into some rotational work a little bit during the warm-up here, okay? So for today's main course, we're actually going to be focusing on the hips a lot. So we're going to work on a little bit of internal rotation, external rotation. We're going to work on some hip flexion as well, okay? Going to try to open things up a little bit. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. So we're going to get started here. We're going to start with 1 stick today, okay? So I'm going to take this 1 stick here. We're going to start on the feet and ankles first, okay? So what I want to do here is I want to take a wide horse stance here. So for the foot and ankle drills, we're going to get into a little bit of a deeper squat here, okay? So I'll actually go a little bit from the side here, and I'll have my hands stacked at roughly about sternum to chest height, okay? I want to make sure my pelvis is stacked under my spine here, and the stick is only slightly angled in towards me. I'm going to squat down a bit, okay? A little bit more than usual. And what I want to do from here is I want to bring both of my heels up off the floor, okay? We're going to control it slowly going down, okay? Don't let the heels touch the floor. You want to hover them off the floor the entire time here, okay? Bring them back up. Good, hold. Slowly come back down. Good. Heels up. Good. Slowly come back down. Make sure they're hovering off the floor here. Heels up. Good. Slowly come back down. Let's go 2 more here. Okay. Heels up. Excellent. Come back down. Last 1. Heels up. Good, and slowly come back down. Excellent, and take a break. So, we're gonna work on something a little different today. I'm gonna get into the squat rack here, so if you have a door frame or something for you to press the stick up into, now would be the perfect time to get to it. So, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna work on some rotational aspects, okay, as we work on the feet. So we're gonna work on pivoting the foot, but we're also gonna get some thoracic rotation and work on the hips a little bit. So, I'm going to take the stick, I'm going to press it into the top of the squat rack here, okay? And I want to have my hands below my rib cage, okay? So again, right about sternum level here. Now the stick is about roughly 4 to 6 inches from my body, and my stance width is at roughly a little wider than shoulder width here. Now what I want to do is I'm first going to generate tension by driving the stick up into the wall, squat rack first. And then from here, what I want to do is I want to pivot my right foot towards my left foot and rotate my right hip forward and across. But I'm keeping my torso facing forward the entire time here. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of that rotation, and I'm going to bring that right foot back down. Okay, and now I'm going to switch. I'm going to rotate my left foot in towards my right. Okay, try to rotate those hips as much as you can. Again, that torso is still facing forward. Then I'm going to bring it back down. I'm going to repeat that process again. Rotate that right foot in towards the left. Try to get as much rotation in the hips as you can. Driving that stick up about 20% tension. Bring that right heel back down. Rotate that left in towards the right. Make sure you breathe. Excellent. Let's go one more time. Rotate that right foot in. Okay. Keep those elbows tucked in, don't let them flare out. Bring that right foot back down. Rotate that left foot. Good. Bring that left foot back down and ease off for a second. So, now we're going to work with pelvic tilts, but usually we do 1 foot driving down. Today we're going to switch it up. We're going to go driving the stick up into the top of the door frame or squat rack or whatever available to you. So I'm gonna take a wide horse stance here, okay? Gonna get back into that same position. The stick is still close to the body here. We're not extending the stick out. And I want my hands to be roughly about belly button height, okay? So from here, make sure you keep your feet active. Grab the ground with your toes here the entire time. What I want to do here is I want to drive the stick up into the wall. This extends that spine here, okay? Now what I want to do from here, I'm going to do a posterior tilt. So I'm going to tuck my pelvis in and squeeze my glutes. And I want to make sure I'm driving my knees apart, okay? So to get that abduction and that hip extension here. Now I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to go anterior. So I'm going to tuck my pelvis, front of my pelvis down towards the floor here. Okay, you're gonna feel those mid and lower back tissues tighten. Still pushing the stick up into the wall, up 20 to 30% tension. Now I'm gonna do a posterior tilt. Squeeze those glutes, drive those knees apart. Okay. Anterior tilt. Make sure you're breathing. Good. Posterior tilt. Good. Anterior tilt. Good. One last time. Posterior tilt. Squeeze those glutes. Make sure they're active. Good. Anterior tilt. And slowly ease off and relax. Good. So now we're going to take the second stick here. Okay. And so now what we're going to do here, we're going to get into those lateral tissues of the hip. So we're going to do some lateral hip bumps here. All right. So what I like to do is I like to have the sticks basically right in the middle of both of my toes here, well, both more to right in front of my mid toe. And so what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to sink down a little bit, get into that horse stance. Again, make sure you keep that spine tall here. I'm going to do a light posterior tilt. Okay. I'm going to drive that right stick down. I'm going to bump my right hip up, and you should feel that right glute activate. Left hip should drop, okay? Then I'm going to bump my left hip up, right? Now we're going to feel that left glute activate, driving that left stick down. So I'm going to switch back over to my right, drive that right stick down a little bit harder, okay? As we switch sides, we're driving the stick down to the side that we're tilting to. Now I'm going to bump my hips to the left, drive that left stick down to the floor harder. Generate some of that lateral tissue tension. Now I'm going to bump to the right. Good. Left. Excellent. One more time each way. Right. And left. Good. And ease off. And take a second here. So, I'm going to put one stick back down. And now we're going to work from a split, from a lunge position, and we're going to work on some rotation, okay? So, I'm actually going to have the stick behind my back here, okay, like so, and I want it in the crooks of my elbows, right? And so what I want to do from here is I'm going to get into a split stance. So, I'm going with my left foot forward here, okay? Right foot is back. And I'm going to start here. Now, my back leg, I'm going to squeeze that right glute, and it's going to open up those anterior hip tissues, right? That hip flexor, all that. And now I'm going to load that front leg here. And so what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to rotate side to side first, and we're going to add in some hinging. So I'm going to rotate towards my left, driving that right hand forward. Keep that right glute tight. Now I'm going to rotate towards my right, driving that left hand forward. You're going to notice a little bit more of a challenge here, right? Now I'm going to rotate to my left again, drive that right hand forward. Breathe. Now I'm going to rotate to my right, drive that left hand forward. Good. Going to come back to center. Now I'm going to hinge. Okay, going to be in position here. And what I want to do is I'm going to start rotating again, but I'm going to try to use this front leg as a way to leverage that rotation. So I'm going to rotate to my left and I'm gonna place my right hand on my right leg, add a little bit of extra pull, a little extra tension, get more rotation. Good, come back to center. Now I'm gonna use my left hand, place it on the inside of my left leg, and open up that rotation again. Leveraging my left leg here. Come back to center. Good, and I'm gonna rotate to the left. Place that right hand on the left leg. Good, back to center. Take my left hand, place on the inside of my left thigh. Get more rotation. Good, back to center. And come out. Excellent, now we're gonna switch sides here, okay? So I'll go from a front view so you can see how my hips are moving. So, same thing, get to that split stance here, all right? Squeeze that left glute, drive that back hip into extension here. Start with a straight up and down posture here, lower that front leg, okay? Gonna start by rotating to the right, driving that left hand forward. Good, rotate to the left, drive that right hand forward. Make sure you're breathing, rotate to the right. Breathe, rotate to the left. Good, back to center. Now we're gonna add in that hinge, okay? So I'm gonna start by rotating to my right. Place that left hand on the leg. Good. Come back to center. Now I'm gonna rotate to my left. Place my right hand on the inside of my right leg. Add in some more rotation. Make sure you breathe. Back to center. Good. Rotate to the right. Good. Back to center. Rotate to the left. Good. Back to center. And come up. Slowly come out. Good. We're going to keep the stick at the crooks of our elbows. We're going to work with the scapula here. So, the main thing is here is we're trying to get the scapula to move, but we're looking at the ends of the sticks to see if we're going in a circular motion here. Okay, so I'll actually turn from the side so you guys can get a view of the shape that the stick is going in here, okay? So on the crooks of my elbows, I'm gonna keep my hands on my rib cage, okay, or right around my oblique area, and I'm gonna take that horse stance, okay, squat down a bit. I wanna keep my pelvis tucked a bit, okay? What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start creating circles. So I'm gonna look to my right, and I'm going to draw a circle by moving my shoulders in a circular motion, okay? Now the stick is going counterclockwise here, okay? Make sure you breathe. Trying to get elevation, retraction, depression, and pronation. So we're getting that scapula to move along that rib cage as smoothly as possible. Your pace should be matching mine, okay? We're not trying to get any kind of spinal rotation here either. Spine stays stable. Breathe. Now let's reverse directions. So now, if I looked at the right end of the stick, it's going clockwise. Breathe. Excellent. Keep going. A few more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good. Going to take the stick down. Awesome. And we're going to get into one last thing here. So we're going to open up those adductors here, okay, before we get into some of the hip drills. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a wide stance, okay? As wide as whatever's comfortable for you. You can always adjust your positioning as you need to throughout the drill here, okay? And I want to have the stick on my right shoulder. So I'm going to start by lunging to my right side, okay? So feet are angled out a bit, right? Whatever's comfortable. Stick is on my right shoulder here, and the bottom of the stick is angled out pretty far. Now, what I want to do from here is I'm going to start by driving my hips back and reaching down towards the bottom of the stick. So I'm going to get a stretch in the hamstrings and a little bit of the adductors. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to drive into a Cossack squat going to my right side. So I'm going to push off that right foot, and I'm going to drop deeper into that Cossack squat, reaching down towards the bottom of the stick here. Really driving off that left leg. Breathe. Now I'm going to come back up to neutral and stand up. Okay, let's go a couple more repetitions here. All right, so first thing, drive those hips back, soft bend to the knees, reach down towards the bottom of the stick, get that hamstring stretch. Now drive that left leg and lunge to your right, reaching down towards the bottom of the stick. So you're getting a pretty good reach here, okay? Good. Slowly come up to neutral and stand up. Excellent, let's go one more time here, okay? Drive those hips back. Good. Drive off that left foot, lunge to the right, sink into it, reach toward the bottom of the stick. Breathe. Slowly come back to center and come back up. Excellent.
Sorry, I can't help you with that.
Whoa, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. Okay, same thing. Drive the hips back, reach toward the bottom of the stick here, okay? Drive off that right foot, lunge to the left, reach toward the bottom of the stick. You're gonna notice a little bit more flexibility on one side versus the other, okay, and that's okay. But this right leg should be straight, feeling that stretch in the adductor. Come back to center, stand back up. Excellent. Two more. Hinge back, reach down towards the bottom. Right, drive off that right leg, reach towards the bottom a bit more. Make sure you breathe in these positions. If you're holding your breath or finding your breath become shaky, probably going a little bit too far here, okay? Come back to center, stand back up. Excellent, let's go one more time. Hinge back, reach towards the bottom. Drive off that right leg. Breathe. Good, back to neutral. Go back to center. Stand back up. Excellent. Wiggle your feet in. And excellent, good. Back to the warm up. So, we're gonna grab two sticks here. So the other stick, I should say. And so now we're gonna get into focusing on some hip drills. So, we're first just gonna warm up the hips by just working in, getting into that flexion. Okay, from the flexion, we're gonna go into some abduction, and then we're gonna start to work on some internal rotation from that abduction. So we're gonna spend quite a bit of time here, all right? All right, so I'm gonna take the stance roughly about, have my feet about an inch apart here, okay? Now, I'm gonna take both sticks, and I wanna grip the sticks for more of a challenge. I'm gonna make it a little harder for you guys today, as I'm gonna grip the sticks at the top here, okay? So that lengthens that lever, so it's gonna be a little bit more challenging on the core. I'm gonna pick up the bottoms of the sticks and angle them in towards my toes. So they're about an inch or two in front of the line of my toes here, okay? Now, what I wanna do from here, keeping my arms straight, keeping my shoulders down, ribs to hips, I wanna first generate tension by driving the sticks into the floor. So I'll start at 50%. So, all right, so push the sticks into the floor. You should feel those anterior core tissues activate. Only 50%, not trying to max out, but we're just trying to warm up all those tissues involved here, okay? Don't let your rib cage flare out. All right? Keep the rib cage down. Good. And ease off. Excellent. So now what we're going to do here, we're going to add in hip flexion. So we're going to start with bringing that left knee up, okay? So arms straight, shoulders down, drive both sticks into the floor, keep that right leg straight, bring that left knee up. Hold. 3, 2, 1, good. Bring it back down slow. Good. Let's go ahead and go 2 more reps on that left side, then switch to the right. Arms straight, shoulders down, ribs to hips, drive the sticks into the floor, 70%. Bring that left knee up. Keep that right leg straight. 3, 2, 1, back down. Excellent, ease off. Good. Let's go one more time here, okay? Arms straight, shoulders down, drive. 70% still. Bring that left knee up. Try to get as high as you can. You should feel that right glute working. 3, 2, 1, back down. And ease off. Good. Take a second. Now we're going to switch to the right side here, okay? All right. Same thing. Drop both sticks down. Activate. Drive. Bring that right knee up. That left leg straight. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Come back down. And relax. Good. 2 more. Okay. All right. Drive. Bring that right knee up. Left leg needs to stay straight. So that left glute is going to reflexively have to work. 3, 2, 1. Back down. And ease off. Good. One more time. Okay. Shoulders down. Drive sticks into the floor. Right knee up. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Back down. Excellent. Good. So now we're going to go with the clock position. So I'm going to have my right stick at 12. I'm going to have my left stick at about 10 o'clock. Sometimes I forget the clock system. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start with hip flexion. We're going to move into abduction, and then we're going to internally rotate that left hip. So we're going to drop that knee down towards the floor. Okay? So from here, I'll actually go a little bit more of a side profile. We're going to first drive both sticks into the floor, and I'm having my hands at about shoulder height. So drive about 60%. Okay? Again, keep that right leg straight, hips forward. Bring that left knee up. Gonna bring that left knee to the left stick. Okay, now I'm gonna drop that left knee down. Bring it back up. Bring it forward. And down. Ease off. Good. Okay, let's go 2 more here. Let's go 70%. Drop both sticks down. Keep the right leg straight, left knee up. Bring it to that left stick. Foot makes contact, keep that knee open. Now we're going to drop that knee down towards the floor. Good. Bring it back up. Bring it forward. And down. Ease off. Let's go one more time here, okay? Drop those sticks into the floor. Still 70%. Bring that left knee up. Bring it to the left stick. Drop that knee down. Open it back up. Bring it forward and down. Ease off. Good. Let's go and switch sides here. So now my left stick's at 12, right stick's at about 2 o'clock. I'll actually go from the front here. So again, try to make sure that that leg is in contact with the floor, that hip stays forward. If you find that your hips are rotating, it's going a little bit too far, okay? So let's reduce that range of motion. You can always bring the stick forward more. So, same thing, drop both sticks down, okay, 60%. Bring that right knee up, good. Bring it to the right stick, foot makes contact, good. Internally rotate, drop that knee down, good. Open it back up, bring it forward, and down, and ease off. Good. Okay, now we're at 70%. We've got 2 more repetitions here. Drop both sticks down. Bring that right knee up. Bring that foot to the right stick. Make contact. Drop that knee down towards the floor. Keep that foot in contact with the stick. Open back up. Bring it forward. And down. Ease off. Got 1 more here, okay? Drive, activate, drop both sticks into the floor. Right knee up. Good. Bring it to that right stick. Make contact. Drop that knee down towards the floor. Bring it back up. Good. Bring it forward and down. And ease off. Whew. Good. Take a second. Now we're going to work on those glutes a little bit. We're going to go into hip abduction, and we're also going to go a slight bit into hip extension. So instead of going straight out, we're going to kind of go a little bit back in diagonal here. So I'll actually show this from the side here. So I'm going to go with my feet roughly about 1 inch apart. I'm going to start on my right side, so I'm going from this angle so you can kind of see where the stick is. Left stick is in line with my midfoot here on my left side, so it's at 9 o'clock. This right stick, I want to kind of place it behind my body a bit, right? And I want the bottom of the stick angled in towards me. So my right hand, or both hands, are actually at shoulder height here, okay? And I want to have this stick back. Now, what I want to do from here, I want to drop both sticks down to the floor. I want to push with 50%, okay? Keeping my left leg straight, I'm going to pick up my right foot off the floor, and I'm going to bring it back to meet my outside of my foot to meet that right stick, and I want to push, okay? I want to keep my pelvis tucked, push with 50% tension. Good, 3, 2, 1, bring it back forward and ease off. So we're trying to work on abduction and hip extension. So I'm going to move the bottom of the stick out a little further here, okay? I'm going to do that same thing. Try to keep your hips facing forward here, all right? So drop both sticks into the floor, 70%. Get that ribs cage down, left leg remain straight. I'm going to bring the outside of my right foot to the right stick and push. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Ease off. And relax. Good. Let's go one more time here. Okay? Just try to slide the leg up the stick. All right, let's make it a little bit challenging. So, drop both sticks down, 70%. Bring that right leg up off the floor. Bring that outside of the foot to meet that right stick. Push. Now, without rotating your hips, try to slide that right foot up the right stick. Try to keep that knee open. Good. Slide it back down. Hold. Still push. And bring that foot back in and ease off. Good. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the left side. I'm gonna go with the forward facing view, okay? So, the right stick is in the middle or in line with the midfoot, okay? Left stick is at that same angle, right? Going behind my body a bit. So, from here, I'll step forward a little bit more. So from here, same thing. First activate. So drive both sticks down 50%. Gonna bring that left foot up off the floor. Bring the outside of my left foot to that left stick and push. Make sure you keep that pelvis tucked. That's extremely important here. So it's almost like you're doing a little bit of a posterior tilt, right? Breathe. Push, push. 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring it back in. And ease off. Good. We're going to move the bottom of that stick out a little further. Okay. Now we're going to go 70%. All right. Arms straight, shoulders down. Drive those sticks into the floor. Bring the left foot up off the floor. And bring the left foot to the stick and drive. And that's okay if your leg is externally rotating a bit. That's okay. Push. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring that foot back. And ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to slide that left foot up that left stick. Okay, remember, try to keep that knee out and back, right? Trying to keep it in external rotation. So now we're going to start by activating. Drive, 70%. Bring that left foot to the left stick. Push. Try to keep your torso facing forward. Slide that left foot up the stick. Pushing back. Hold. Slide it back down. So push. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring it back forward and ease off. Whew, good. Awesome. So, I went through the strength training portion. So now what we're going to do here, we're just going to work on stretching out and getting to some of deep fascial stretching here. Okay? So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to place one stick down. I want to get into a little bit of a hang here. Okay? So we're going to hang just a little bit. So, my hands are a little sweaty, so give me a second. But we're going to start with hanging on the right side. So, sticks on my right hand here. I'm going to have my left foot forward. Okay? Now, I want the bottom of the stick to be angled out a bit here, so I can actually drop my right hip down towards the bottom of the stick. Okay? So I'm going to keep my right hand up. Bottom of the stick is behind the heel of my left foot, right? I'm going to place my left hand on a stick as support. Okay? I'm going to split my hips. Okay? What I'm going to do from here, arms straight, I'm going to drop down, my back knee down towards the floor here. Okay? Again, keeping that left arm on, the left hand on as support. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop my right hip and reach up with my right hand. Going to get a big stretch on that lateral line here. Going to come back to center. Now I'm going to come up. Good. Bring our right foot forward, and we're going to switch sides here. Okay? Do that same thing. We're going to go back to the right side. We're going to add in a little bit of rotation on that next one here. So, keeping that left hand up. Going to take my right hand, place it on the stick. Do that same thing. Drop that back knee down towards the floor. Get a good hang here. Focus on that breathing. All right? Now I'm going to drop my left hip down towards the bottom of the stick. Reach with that left hand. If your hips are tight, you're going to also feel this in the hips as well. Good. Bring it back to neutral. Come up. Excellent. We're going to switch sides again, right? Going to go back to that right side here. This time, we're going to add in a little bit of rotation. So, when we drop the hip down towards the bottom of the stick, we're going to rotate to our left more. So, take that split stance again. Make sure you place that left hand on the stick. Okay? Same thing. Drop that back leg down. Arm straight. Good. Drop that right hip down towards the bottom of the stick. Now I'm going to rotate to my left. It's going to get even bigger, stretching that lateral line. Good. Come back to center. And come up. Excellent. Switch sides. Okay. Bring that left foot back. Left hand's up at the top. Okay. Place that right hand on the stick. Drop into that hang. Drop that back knee down. Good. Drop that left hip down towards the bottom of the stick. Rotate to your right. And 3, 2, 1. Bring it back to center. And slowly come out. Excellent. So now we're going to go to the floor. We're going to stretch out the adductors. We're also going to add in a little bit of rotation here, okay? So, going to go to the floor here. I'll actually kind of go for a little bit from a side profile here. So, the main objective here is you want to make sure that we're keeping the back straight, or straight as we possibly can as we go into the stretch here. So, I'm going to take the stick and I'm going to place it right where the arches of my feet are, okay? Now, where my hands are placed, you can place them together or you can place them shoulder width apart. If you want a little bit more of an intense stretch here, you can widen your hands out quite a bit to get it. However, again, this is going to be a much more intense way to do it, and you need to make sure we're keeping our back straight. So, what I'm going to do from here, I want my feet facing, my toes facing up towards the ceiling. What I want to do is I want to start by just pulling the stick back, and I want to straighten out my spine here. Okay, keeping my shoulders down. Just want to breathe. Should be feeling a stretch in those adductors here. Okay. Good. We're going to slowly ease off. Okay. We're going to do that again. So try to wiggle your feet out a little wider if you can. Usually I would do this with a pro model, but I don't have one right now. So now I'm going to pull the stick, and I'm going to straighten out my back again. I'm going to take my right hand off, right? And I'm going to rotate that right hand back behind me, trying to get to a 6 o'clock position. Good. I'm going to bring it back forward, place the right hand on the stick, take my left hand off, bring it in front, rotate and open up to the left, reaching back to 6 o'clock. Make sure you breathe. Bring it back forward. Place that left hand back on the stick and ease off. Good. We're going to do that again. I'm going to have you switch your hands though. Okay? So, or switch your hands in terms of flipping your hands over. So I'm going to have my palms facing up towards the ceiling here. Okay? So, same thing, keep those feet facing up towards the ceiling. I'm going to pull. Okay? Get some good activation here. I'm going to take that right hand, place it out in front. Instead of just rotating back, I'm going to bring this hand up overhead. And then I'm going to rotate it back. Good. Let's go through 3 rotations. Bring it back up and over. Good. Bring it up. Rotate back. Make sure you're breathing. Good. Back up and over. Let's go one more time. Good. Rotate that back. Good. Back up and over. Excellent. Place that right hand back on the stick. Now we're going to go to the left side. Make sure you're pulling with that right hand here. Arm straight out in front. Up and over. Rotate back. Good. Bring the hand up and over. Back to the front. Let's go 2 more. Open up. Good. Make sure you breathe. Excellent. Bring your hand up and over. Good. Come back. Excellent. Place the left hand back on the stick and ease off. Good. Okay. Hips should be feeling pretty open by now. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to work on stretching out the glute or the outside of that hip capsule here, okay? So we're going to get into a 90-90 position, right? Well, again, we're just trying to focus on stretching out that front leg here. So I'm going to place this stick down, and I'm going to start with my left hip forward first, okay? Let's get a little closer so you can see. So left knee is forward, leg bent at 90 degrees. If you'd like, you can actually bring that foot in, okay? If it's a little more of a comfortable position, this is basically like a modified pigeon stretch. I'm gonna have that right knee back a bit, okay? I'm actually not gonna use the stick, not yet, but we are gonna use the stick to drive down and hinge forward a little bit more to create a little bit more tension here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna place my right hand on my left ankle, okay? And I'm gonna drive this left knee into the floor really lightly, about 15 to 20%, okay? I'm gonna use my left hand to prop myself up, and then I'm going to hinge forward, bringing that belly button forward, okay? To get the stretch on the outside of that left hip here. The right hip is just relaxing in that position. You're not generating tension. We're just focusing on that front hip here, okay? Take some deep breaths. Let's go through 2 breath cycles. Deep breath in. Long exhale out. One more time. Deep breath in. Long exhale out. Come back up. Excellent. Now I'm going to take this stick, place it in my right hand here, and I'm going to have it basically right about where my ankle is, okay, right in front of my ankle. I'm still using my left hand to prop myself up. Now my right hand is going to be at where my shoulder is, okay? What I'm going to do from here, I'm going to do that same thing. Drive that front leg into the floor, 15%, okay? And then I'm going to drive the stick down and reach forward. You should get a little bit of a deeper stretch on that front hip. Breathe. Deep breaths. Good. 3, 2, 1. Slowly come out and ease off. Let's switch sides. Okay. So bring that right hip forward. Okay. So we're doing that same thing here. We'll do on the other side. Bring this over here because that's where it needs to be. All right. So same thing. Place my left hand on my right ankle. Okay, using my right hand to prop myself up. Drive that right leg into the floor, 15%, and I'm going to hinge forward, driving my belly button forward. You want to make sure that you're trying to keep your spine as neutral as possible as you're down here. You don't want to find that you're rounding over. You want to try to keep a tall spine, right? That gets a better connection to that outside of the hip on our right leg here. Hold. Deep breaths. Good. 3, 2, 1. Slowly come up. Excellent. All right, so I'm going to take the stick in my left hand. Place it out in front. Left hand is right about where my shoulder height is. Same thing. Drive that front leg into the floor. Drive the stick into the floor and hinge forward. Should be getting a bit of a deeper stretch here. And again, focus on your breathing. Hold. Good. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come back up and ease off. Good place to stick back down. And that concludes today's stick mobility class. All right. Thank you for joining me today, everybody. Hope everybody had a good class. Wanted to kind of focus on the hips today primarily, but hope everybody had a really good weekend. or has a good weekend. Had a good Thanksgiving, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one.